Would you like to begin with one of your
I'll
favorite
start.
cryptids? Ladies first, Karen.
Still me? Okay.
Well, women first, Karen.
Okay. That might be a little better description. Sort of. Okay. So
Welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg.
hey, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast presents Wicked Ramblings, an entertainment podcast that strives to answer the twisted questions currently burning a bright hole in your dark soul.
That's so deep.
I know, right?
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing good, Karen.
Excited about all your research you did?
I am.
I'm just going to say flat out, Greg's going to kick my ass on this. I don't know a lot about what we're going to talk about today, but he definitely does.
Well, I'm not sure you should build it up like that, Karen. I may not.
I think you do.
Well, Karen, don't keep everyone waiting. What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about our favorite cryptids.
Is it really your favorite, though? Are they really your favorites, or are you just...
No, they're not.
No, me either.
But we picked ones we liked. I'll say I like them.
I like them, too.
Yeah.
One of them I didn't even know about until,
Well, look at that. You're
I started
learning.
researching. I'm like, ooh, this looks interesting. You're my new favorite.
Well, that didn't take much, did it?
Or one of my new favorites.
So we're going to talk about cryptozoology today, Greg. It's a big word.
Yeah, might you have a definition, Karen? What the hell that means?
Crypto comes from the Greek word meaning hidden or covered. Did you know that?
I did not.
And zoology is the study of animal life. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, Karen.
So according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, cryptozoology is the study of and searching for legendary animals. These animals are called cryptids. Do you want to know who the father of cryptozoology is?
Absolutely.
Zoologist Dr. Bernard Heuvelman. He came up with the term. His interest in unproven animal species was as impressive as his study of well-known animals. By 1955, he wrote On the Track of Unknown Animals. Despite his efforts, not everyone in 1955 thought the science was official or real, and the same is true today. I did not know that. I'm sure he had a tough time trying to present it as a real
1955.
Yeah. Well, I'd say it's even probably difficult today to get your point across with these things.
I'm just saying that's fairly recent in the annals of time, Karen.
True.
All right, Karen. We picked our 3, right? We picked 3 each.
Yes.
Would you like to begin with one of your favorite
I'll start.
cryptids? Ladies first, Karen.
Still me? Okay.
Well, women first, Karen.
Okay. That might be a little better description. Sort of. Okay. So have you ever been to New Jersey?
I'm sure I have.
We went once.
The Garden State, right, Karen? It's in the Garden State.
We went to Atlantic City. When I was a postdoc at Johns Hopkins, a couple of friends went up to Atlantic City. Stacy, I know you're listening. And I do not know how to gamble, but she definitely does. But we went to the roulette wheel that has the numbers and the colors?
Mm-hmm. Black and red.
Yeah. And I just kept telling her, we are not betting that sissy red color ever. Red, 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 red. She goes, so mad at me. So anyway, I'm a terrible gambler. But that's not the most exciting thing about New Jersey.
New Jersey? What would that be, Karen?
Well, without a doubt, New Jersey's oldest, most enduring, and important pieces of folklore is the infamous Jersey Devil.
Jersey Devils.
Oh,
Hockey team too, right?
Oh, I was like, are there more than one? I guess there are when they're on the ice.
Yeah. Pretty sure the New Jersey hockey team is the Devils.
It is. That's how beloved this creature is in New Jersey.
Okay.
Legend has it, in 1735, a Pines resident known as Mother Leeds, who I looked up. I'm like, Mother Leeds, come on. Her name was Deborah Smith, who emigrated from England in the 1700s to marry a Mr. Leeds. And the Leeds family lived in the area of the New Jersey Pine Barrens for a long time. So Deborah was pregnant for the 13th time, Greg.
Lucky 13.
Well, apparently not.
Oh, okay.
So she wasn't actually living a wealthy lifestyle, if you can imagine, in 1735 with 12 children already. Her husband was a drunkard who made few efforts to provide for his wife and 12 children. And reaching the point of absolute exasperation upon learning of her 13th child, as you would imagine, she raised her hands to the heavens and proclaimed, and I quote, "Let this one be a devil."
Ah, I have heard that story before.
Kind of like when I was born and a nun came up and put a rosary around my head and said, "This one will be a nun." She was very, very wrong. So Mother Leeds went into labor a few months later on a stormy night, no longer mindful of the curse she had uttered previously regarding her unborn child. Her children and husband huddled together in one room, while local midwives gathered to deliver the baby in another. By all accounts, the birth went routinely, although that's disputed. Some say it was a very difficult birth, but this account says it was routine. You know, after 12, what's one more?
Right.
And it was a normal.
Why does she even need midwives at this point?
It was a normal baby boy.
Why would do this in her sleep?
Right. Just squat in the field and be done with it. Ladies, I don't believe that for one bit. So within minutes of the birth, Mother Leeds' unholy wish began to come to fruition, Greg. It's not pretty. The baby started to change and metamorphosized right in front of their eyes.
They grow horns and a forked tail.
Within moments, it transformed from a beautiful baby into a hideous creature unlike anything this world has ever seen. The wailing infant began growing at an incredible rate. It sprouted horns, like you said, from the top of its head, and talon-like claws tore through the tips of its fingers. Pretty terrifying.
Sounds a lot like the album cover to the Black Sabbath album, Born Again.
Oh, does it have leathery bat-like wings unfurled from its back?
No,
and hair and feathers sprouted all over the child's body. Its eyes began glowing bright red as they grew larger in the monster's head. The creature savagely attacked its own mother, killing her, then turned its attention to the rest of the horrified onlookers, who didn't fare any better. So then it knocked down the door to the next room where the father and all the siblings were. It says they cowered and it killed as many as it could. So those who survived lived to tell the tale, right? Because if no one survives, no one knows what happened. So right. The creature made its escape into the darkness and desolation of the Pine Barrens, where it has lived ever since. To this day, the creature known vaguely as the Leeds Devil and the Jersey Devil claims the pines as its own and terrorizes any who are unfortunate enough to encounter it. So basically, if you're in the Pine Barrens, which is just a large area of protected forest in New Jersey, you'll hear unearthly wails often, and you might see footprints, cloven.
Well, of course.
And sometimes they say it's 2 feet. Sometimes they say it's 4.
Well, Karen, if it's 4, it's probably not the Jersey Devil. It's an animal. It's a deer.
Don't kill the illusion, Greg. Sometimes people say they see the devil himself. He's described as having the body of a kangaroo, the head of a dog, the face of a horse, large leathery wings, antlers similar to those of a deer, and a forked reptilian tail and intimidating claws. Most people report, though, of the unearthly wails that they hear while you can camp and such in the Pine Barrens. Ooh, spooky. But there are several theories surrounding the origins and natures of the New Jersey Devil. So one, it's a hoax, right?
Right. I feel like that's going to be a common thread.
Yes. Well, yeah. Some people believe the creature is simply a misidentified animal, such as an owl, bat, or even a large dog. Others believe it's just purely fictional for entertainment. There's folklore and legend. Just it says like other mythical creatures such as Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. It says the creature is not a physical being, but rather a product of human imagination and storytelling. So it's a legend passed down from generation to generation. Other people think it could be paranormal or supernatural. It could be a demon, a ghost, or some other form of supernatural entities. It could be a genetic mutation. It might be a genetically modified animal created in a laboratory. That's always a good fallback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be an alien or an extraterrestrial. The creature may have been brought to Earth by aliens, and it's their genetic engineering that did it. So there you go, the New Jersey Devil.
Yeah, I believe we discussed this the other day, but I did see an episode of Destination X, and they were looking into the Jersey Devil, and one of the people they had on hypothesized that it might be a hammer-headed bat, Karen. Also known as a hammer-headed fruit bat and big-lipped bat.
Why would they think it was that?
Because it got the head of like a horse. It's like it's got a big head.
So it's a big
snout.
bat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, wingspans approaching like 4 feet.
It's pretty big.
Which would look big if it was flying above you.
Absolutely.
You'd say, holy shit, what the hell is that?
Yes.
With a head like a horse. It's the largest bat in Africa.
So it would get here how?
Well, they hypothesized again, Karen, that it might stow away on ships, fruits or whatever coming from Africa. But supposedly it's, it couldn't live through the winter, but you know how things go, Karen.
Well, that is all fine and dandy, but what about the unearthly whales, Greg?
Don't know, Karen.
The whales that they shrieks and such that they hear. Bats don't wail and shriek.
Well, do they?
And if you're interested, it goes by other names too. The hoodle doodle bird, the wazzlebug, and the Leeds devil, not just the New Jersey devil. And most of the information that I have used here today was from Weird New Jersey. So weirdnj.com. Fascinating site.
I bet.
I don't think I'd want to know this before I went camping in the Pine Barrens. Because any noise I heard, I'd be flipping out. It's the New Jersey Devil, run! Although, if I had 12 kids and I was going to have a 13th, I don't know. I don't think I'd curse my kid. I think I might curse my husband. Just saying.
Probably. Karen, one of the creature I have chosen, one of them is the Wendigo.
Sounds fascinating. What do you got?
Yes. So the Wendigo is a creature from Algonquian mythology. I guess that's a tribe of Indians or Native Americans.
Native Americans, yes.
A Native American tribe that inhabits the northeastern region of North America.
Okay.
Including parts of Canada and the United States. And the Wendigo is often described as a malevolent supernatural being associated with cannibalism, Karen, winter, and famine.
Well, that's pleasant.
Yes, they play the roles of monsters and boogeymen in some legends. In others, Chippewa people who commit sins, especially selfishness, gluttony, or cannibalism, are turned into a Wendigo as punishment, Karen.
Hmm.
The legend of the Wendigo is believed to have originated with the Cree and Ojibwe peoples. According to mythology, the Wendigo is a creature that was once human but was transformed into a monster through a curse or possession. The Wendigo, and I should say that it's actually pronounced usually Ouija-go in Algonquian. Ouija-go.
Okay.
The Wendigo is said to have an insatiable hunger for human flesh and is often associated with the winter months when food is scarce. It is described as a tall, emaciated creature with sunken eyes and yellow, decaying skin, and made of or coated in ice. But the human it once was is still frozen inside the monster where its heart should be, and must be killed to defeat the Wendigo.
The person inside must be killed.
Yes.
In the heart area.
Yep.
Okay.
It is also said to have long, sharp claws and teeth, and is often depicted with antlers or horns. The Wendigo is believed to be able to mimic human voices, luring unsuspecting people into the woods where it can attack and devour them. In some versions of the legend, the Wendigo is said to have supernatural powers, such as the ability to control the weather or to create a powerful gust of wind that can knock people off their feet. Wendigo is also believed to be able to infect others with its curse, turning them into Wendigos as well.
Oh, really?
In a few legends, a human has been successfully rescued from the heart of the Wendigo, Karen. But usually, once a person has been possessed by a Wendigo spirit, the only escape is death.
Can it kill itself?
I don't know. The legend has been used in popular culture, including literature, film, and video games. One of the most famous literary descriptions of the Wendigo is in Algernon Blackwood's 1910 short story, The Wendigo, which helped to popularize the creature in Western culture. Today, the Wendigo remains a prominent figure in Native American folklore and continues to be a source of inspiration for artists, writers, and filmmakers. I got that information from various places around the internet, Karen, so it must be true.
Absolutely. So just to recap.
And I have more, Karen.
Oh, sorry.
I also have from Volume 2 of Mysterious Creatures, A Guide to Cryptozoology by George M. Eberhardt. It's a lot different.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's not uncommon when you're searching these up.
The Wendigo, he writes, originally a Native American name for a cannibal giant in northern North America, now more commonly known as a supposed psychological compulsion to eat human flesh, said to occur among the Algonquian peoples of Canada and called Wendigo psychosis. The craving is said to be brought on by desperate cannibalism during a famine. The reality of this syndrome has been challenged, though the condition may in fact have been used in the past as an excuse to expel or execute an outcast. In recent decades, quote unquote, turning Wendigo most likely refers to an emotional display of grief or worry that betrays a fear of being lost or otherwise ill-equipped to deal with a harsh subarctic environment. Some stories may also involve Bigfoot wandering outside its normal range. And the name comes from, like I said, Wendigo, which means winter cannibal giant. It was first used in print in 1722, according to John Robert Colombo.
So the legend comes about in the winter because people were starving and somebody might have ate someone else and they say it wasn't me, it was the Wendigo.
Could be. Don't know.
But that's interesting. So that's going to be passed down from storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's in the forests, you said.
Yep.
And
roles of monsters or boogeymen in some. So in others, people are turned into Wendigos for their wickedness. But who turns you?
Anyone can turn you, or is there a certain...
Well, it says they're turned into a Wendigo as punishment. So maybe
by who? By like
maybe the medicine man or whatever, Karen.
Or the gods.
Could be, yeah.
Pass judgment and you're turned because you're selfish or gluttonous or something else. What did you say?
Or cannibalistic.
Oh, well, surprisingly, I forgot that one.
Yeah, but I always picture the deer skull with the deer skull head with the fur horns. And yeah. When I think of Wendigo or Ouija-go. What else you got, Karen?
Well, I'm turning now to a more modern myth. Well, myth. I should say myth in quotations. I'm going to go with the Chupacabra, a fanged beast with red glowing eyes that kills goats and cattle by sucking their blood. Now, this site that I first started with said many sightings were reported in Puerto Rico in the 1980s and have since spread to Latin America and southwestern U.S. But everything else that I saw said that sightings didn't start until 1995. Chupacabras were first reported in 1995, according to a different source, in Puerto Rico, where they were blamed for attacks on goats, sheep, and other domestic animals, supposedly leaving uneaten carcasses that were drained of blood. Early reports described a creature that stood upright and resembled a large reptilian kangaroo with huge red eyes, which is pretty terrifying. No actual specimens were found, and skeptics suggested that witnesses may have been influenced by the Hollywood science fiction horror film Species from 1995, which features a monster and of a similar experience. But other sightings were reported through the Americas and as far north as the United States. So in Puerto Rico is where the kangaroo Chupacabra is more reported. In the Americas, especially the United States, it's more canine looking. A different type of Chupacabra was reported in America. The Chupacabras were smaller and stood upon 4 feet. They're generally canine in appearance, but hairless. And the actual specimens were produced. So this is one of the few cryptids where they claim that specimens have been found. They were all identified by biologists as coyotes, dogs, or canine hybrids. The animals owed their strange appearance to hair loss resulting from mange, an infestation of a mite. It was suggested that the canines attacked livestock because the debilitating effects of the infestation put wild prey out of their reach. So if you're encrusted in mange, you can't really move very easily. And so they can't go after the quick rabbits and things. They have to go after livestock who don't move very much.
You would think that would make them easier to find, though, because they can't move very quick.
Right. If you look online, mange is not a pretty disease. Well, an infestation, I should say. And it's not pretty. And so they do look very scary. And it's not an easy way to go.
I'm looking at a photo from one in Houston from 2019. ABC 7 in Houston. Photo of a Chupacabra.
It's kind of in the vampire family, which I like. Mm-hmm. But it's been pretty readily debunked, at least most cases where they've found a specimen. So I don't know. It's scary, though. I mean, the stories that you hear and the pictures that you see, and I would imagine before they were identified by DNA testing, when people would see them, before that technology was available, they would look demonic. Not saying they're not out there, people, just saying the ones they've found so far, not Chupacabras. And it doesn't really explain why they're just blood drained, unless they're so covered in mange they can't chew. I don't know.
Right.
So there are some things that are unexplainable.
My next cryptid, Karen, is the Earth Hound,
which I have never heard of.
I hadn't either until I started looking in this encyclopedia, Karen. I found it in my
encyclopedia that you got from the library?
Yes, Karen. I got a library card and got an encyclopedia from the library. That's where you get books, boys and girls.
They still exist. Libraries still exist, even though you can find a lot on the interwebs.
So the Earth Hound is from Scottish folklore, Karen.
Are you Scottish?
I am, Karen.
That's why you were drawn to the Earth Hound,
Could be, Karen. Could be. Legendary creatures that roam the countryside. They're said to be large, spectral dogs with shaggy fur, green eyes, and long, sharp teeth. According to legend, they are supernatural beings that appear when death is imminent.
Oh, bummer.
And are sometimes seen accompanying the spirits of the dead to the afterlife. It was also said to be a burrowing...
Wait, in a nice way? Or are they like the hounds of hell? Or are they? Which way are you going with these guys?
I think it's more hounds of hell kind of thing, maybe.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
It's also said to be a burrowing animal which lived in graveyards and ate corpses, Karen.
No.
I think
Okay.
that's what really drew it to me when I read
Mm,
that. It's often associated with the Gaelic, probably something like that, a Gaelic deity of winter, storms, and death. I have a winter thing apparently going on here.
Wait, a deity of winter,
Winter,
storms.
storm, and death.
Wait, winter, comma, storm or winter storm?
Winter, comma, storm,
Okay.
comma, and death.
All good ones.
Yep. It is said that the Earth Hounds are her hunting dogs and that they only appear during the winter months when the Gaelic, or whatever it is most powerful. Cailleach, but it's Gaelic. So
Yeah, I don't know.
in Celtic mythology, they are believed to be guardians of the spirit realm. They were often associated with the fairy world and were believed to be able to transform into other creatures or even into humans. In some stories, they were seen as helpful and protective, while in others, they were feared for their malevolent nature. Sightings of earthhounds have been reported throughout Scotland, particularly in the Highlands and Islands. They're often described as appearing suddenly out of the mist or lurking near graveyards and other places associated with death.
That wouldn't be a good thing to see. You would not want to see these things.
Especially if seeing them means death is imminent.
Yes, that's what I mean. Hey, everybody, look. It's an earthhound. Oh, man.
In some stories, they are said to be able to cross bodies of water without getting wet and to have the power to induce paralysis or madness in those who see them. The first recorded mention of the Earthhound was in 1881 when Reverend Walter Gregor wrote in Notes on the Folklore of Northeast Scotland of, and I quote, a mysterious, dreaded sort of animal called the Yeard swine, believed to live in graveyards, burrowing among the dead bodies and devouring them. Some sightings. Sighting occurred in 1867, but the story is from 1917. A gardener named Archibald recalled that 50 years earlier, his father was plowing the fields near a churchyard in Deveron when he uncovered an earthhound in its nest. He tried to kick it to death, but it bit his boot so hard that it broke the leather. He killed it with the plow's swingle tree, whatever the hell that is, Karen, and took its carcass back home with him. Archibald and all the neighbors saw the carcass. Archibald later recounted the story to A. Smith of Wortle in Aberdeenshire. In 1915, the day after his interview with Archibald, A. Smith referred to another earthhound being turned up by a plow and killed, possibly by a man named Joss McIntosh in 1915. However, he may have been referring to the original 1867 sighting. Facts are sketchy, Karen.
So you actually see the dog.
I guess. Then in 1990, Karen, Alexander Fenton was visiting a Banffshire town called Reeth. In April 1990, he found that the earthhound was still spoken of. He was shown to a churchyard where the animal was supposed to live, but he found no trace of it. Some theories. It could be a badger, stained orange-brown by mud. It's been suggested that because earth pig and earthhound have both been used as local names for the animal in the British Isles, and because they are known to burrow through graves. However, it's pointed out that physical description of the earthhound is entirely different to that of a badger, and that no country-living person could mistake a badger for anything else. In a June 24th, 1950 reference to the earthhound in the People's Journal claims that they are really rats.
Rats?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a big-ass rat.
But this author writes that although the earthhound is comparable to a rat in size, color, and superficial form, its furry tail, digging feet, tusks, and hound-like head make this identity doubtful. Eyewitness Archibald also said that although it resembled a rat at a distance, it was clearly distinguishable as a different animal up close.
No, I pictured it as a bigger thing, but it's not. It's small then.
Yeah, apparently. And also they talk about moles. And
Moles.
And they do possess digging feet, but not the hound-like head or tusks. And they certainly do not burrow into graves and eat corpses.
Do rats? Maybe it's a mutant rat.
Yeah, and the only other possibility is an undiscovered mustelid. But the author writes that he is skeptical of this due to the extreme unlikeliness of a fairly large mammal existing in a small, heavily urbanized country like the United Kingdom without ever being caught or photographed. Because everybody's got a damn camera now, Karen.
Yeah. All right. So tell me what it looks like again. Go back to the description.
Large spectral dogs with shaggy fur, green eyes, and long, sharp teeth.
Large spectral dogs. And they're saying it could be a badger or a rat. That seems small to me.
I know, but those are theories that people have thrown out.
A badger, maybe.
Karen, but
And then if you see
as the story gets passed down, the bigger the fish, right?
Well, true. It's like playing telephone.
It was as big as my car.
True.
Yeah, but the Earth Hound.
But if you see it,
being that appear when death is imminent.
Yeah.
Kind of like a banshee in that way, right?
A little bit, yeah. I don't think they wail, but and is it a goddess that they're?
Yes.
Okay. A Celtic goddess. Those are her dogs.
Those are her hunting dogs.
What are they hunting for?
I don't know.
Death?
Well, it's the winter. I'm sure she's hunting for anything she can find. Yeah, they only appear during the winter months when the god is most powerful.
I think maybe you were hungry when you were deciding what cryptids to do. You've got one that eats cannibals. That's another one in the winter when there's no food.
Could have been, Karen.
Well, I'm staying a little more local myself for my last one.
Ooh, okay.
Well, sort of.
Go on. I am too, Karen.
We're going to talk about the Mothman.
In one of the books I had, Karen, it said the first victim of the Mothman was actually in Ohio. I didn't read much about it, but
that's crazy talk, according to West Virginians. They do not want anyone else to claim the Mothman but themselves.
Okay.
As legend has it, the flying Mothman mortified countless Point Pleasant residents in the late 1960s in West Virginia.
Point Pleasant. That's a perfect name for the Mothman.
For where the Mothman would show up. On November 12th, 1966, in Clendenin, West Virginia, a group of grave diggers working in the cemetery spotted something strange. Ooh.
At night? In the evening, did you say, or something?
It doesn't say.
Oh, okay.
They glanced up from their work at something huge soared over their heads. It was a massive figure that was moving rapidly from tree to tree. The grave diggers would later describe the figure as a brown human being. This was the first reported sighting of what would come to be known as the Mothman, an elusive creature that remains as mysterious as it was on the night that a few frightened witnesses first laid eyes on it. Just 3 days after the gravediggers' initial report in nearby Point Pleasant, West Virginia, two couples noticed a white-winged creature about 6 or 7 feet tall standing in front of the car they were all sitting in. Young couples were sitting in a car when this happened. Eyewitnesses Roger Scarberry and Steve Mallett told the local paper, the Point Pleasant Register, that the beast had bright red eyes, about 6 inches apart, a wingspan of 10 feet, and the apparent urge to avoid the bright headlights of the car. So more red glowing eyes. According to the witnesses, the creature was able to fly at incredible speeds, perhaps as fast as 100 miles per hour. But all of them agreed that the beast was a clumsy runner on the road. They knew this because it allegedly chased their vehicle to the outskirts of town in the air, then scuttled into a nearby field and disappeared. It was like a man with wings, they said. But more and more sightings were reported in the Point Pleasant area over the next year as the legend of the Mothman took shape. The Gettysburg Times reported 8 additional sightings in the short span of 3 days after the first claims. This included 2 volunteer firefighters who said they saw a very large bird with very red eyes. So Dr. Robert Smith, who's an associate professor of wildlife biology at West Virginia University, dismissed the notion that the flying monster was staking out the town. Instead, he attributed the sighting to a sandhill crane, which stands almost as tall as the average man and has bright red flesh around its eyes. This explanation was compelling, especially given the number of early reports that had described the creature as bird-like. Some people hypothesized that the crane was deformed, especially if it resided in the TNT area, a name that locals gave a series of nearby bunkers that were once used for manufacturing munitions during World War II. It has been suggested that these bunkers have leaked toxic materials into the neighboring wildlife preserve, possibly affecting nearby animals. It's the toxins, Greg. Another theory suggests that the creation of the Mothman was the work of one very committed prankster who hid in the abandoned munitions plant where some of the sightings occur. And then there are paranormal explanations, complicated theories that weave together aliens, UFOs, and precognition. These theories paint the Mothman as either a harbinger of doom or, more sinisterly, its cause. A legend that has its roots in the tragedy that befell Point Pleasant shortly after the Mothman arrived. So on December 15th, 1967, just over a year after the first Mothman sighting, traffic was bad on the Silver Bridge, originally built in 1928 to connect Point Pleasant, West Virginia, to Gallipolis, Ohio. That looks weird to me, but okay. The bridge was packed with cars.
What it is, yeah.
Okay. So it's 1967 and it's around Christmas, December 15th, and there's a lot of cars on the bridge. This placed strain on the bridge because it was packed, which had been built in a time when cars were lighter. I thought this was interesting. The Model T weighed about 1,500 pounds, and the 1967 average weight for a car, do you want to guess?
1967?
Average weight of a car.
I don't know.
4,000 pounds.
No idea.
So without warning, a single eye bar near the top of the bridge on the Ohio side, on our side, Greg,
Yes.
cracked. The chain snapped and the bridge fell to pieces, plunging cars and pedestrians into the icy water of the Ohio River below. 46 people died, either by drowning or being crushed by the wreckage. So after this tragedy, Mothman sightings basically disappeared.
Oh,
Nobody saw it anymore. But in 1975, John Keel connected the Mothman sightings and the bridge disaster while creating his book, The Mothman Prophecies. He also incorporated UFO activity. His story took hold and the town soon became iconic among conspiracy theorists, ufologists, and fans of the paranormal. So he's saying, and there was a movie starring Richard Gere made from that book, if anybody's seen it, The Mothman Prophecies. So he's saying that the Mothman appeared near the bridge. There was a sighting near the bridge, and then the bridge collapsed. The idea that visitations from the Mothman predicted disaster led some believers to make ties to the Chernobyl disaster of 1986, the Mexican swine flu outbreak of 2009, and the 2011 nuclear disaster in Fukushima, Japan. Now, I don't know if they saw the Mothman in those places or if they saw them somewhere else and then these disasters happened. I assume they saw him in those places, but he's assuming it's a he, I don't know, has become a harbinger of doom. So if you see him, something horrible is going to happen. But I will say, Point Pleasant has embraced the Mothman. A lot of towns try to cover it up. They have a huge statue and they have a yearly festival where over 10,000 people come to enjoy Mothman information. And the town's only like less than 5,000 people. So it triples in size for this festival that they do, which I think we should go to, learn all about the Mothman. But they're very protective They claim that only West Virginia has the like the Mothman knows boundaries and borders, and he does not go into any other state, according to West Virginians.
Yeah, I was just reading a story about a man, Marietta.
I've read stories too that Ohio has seen sightings.
Apparently, it's where the Men in Black come from too. Is Point Pleasant?
Yep,
Okay.
They've embraced it. Well, it's a big deal for them. It's lots of tourists come. That's probably most of their economy.
Yeah.
It seems rather aggressive. It's not elusive. It chased the car for miles back to the town. And the car supposedly went over 100 miles an hour, and it kept up.
Apparently there was a battle. There was a battle of Point Pleasant too. But that was,
The Mothman and Godzilla?
no.
No? Oh, something else?
No, it was a British expedition into Shawnee territory. And that never goes well usually. Yeah, lots of shit happened in Point Pleasant. I'm just saying.
Unpleasant things?
Yeah. Well, Karen, for my final cryptid, I've gone even more local
Really?
than you have.
Do tell.
My cryptid is the Loveland Frogman from Loveland, Ohio, Karen.
Which is very near Cincinnati, which is where we both grew up.
Well, we grew up closer to Loveland than Cincinnati, Karen.
True. I was trying to be general.
Yeah, Loveland's about, I guess, 20 miles east or so of Cincinnati. Loveland Frogman, a creature whose existence is not proven by science. Go figure. It's said to inhabit the area around Loveland, Ohio. It is described as a humanoid frog standing about 4 feet tall with leathery skin, webbed fingers and toes, and large eyes. They are bipedal frogs, as made evident due to their leathery skin as well as their webbed hands and feet. The creatures have frog-like heads with wrinkly skin on top of them. The creature lives in a temperate forest and is able to survive the cold winters of the region without having to hibernate.
Oh, come on. Really?
Yeah. Apparently have the physical ability to use sticks like tools. However, they apparently also have the ability to use those sticks to emit sparks like a wand.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes, this could mean that they have the ability to control electricity in some way, Karen. Some sightings. So this goes back to like way, way back, Karen, 1696.
Wow.
French missionaries befriended a tribe of Indians who lived along the rivers of southwestern Ohio, or Native Americans, Karen.
The little Miami?
Yes, they lived along the banks of rivers in southwestern Ohio. They're believed to be part of the Miami culture, but they were known as the Twitewee by the Delaware people. The Twitewees warned the Frenchmen about the river demon that lived in the Little Miami River. They called it Shanahook. It was a human-like creature with no nose and wrinkled skin. They believed it could never be killed. And actually in Loveland, Karen, where a lot of these sightings occurred, the street is called Twitewee.
Oh.
Interestingly enough, one of the most intriguing cases encountered of the Loveland Frogman begins in May of 1955 on a lonely stretch of road that runs along the Little Miami River in Claremont County, just on the outskirts of Loveland. And I believe it is called Twitewee Road or something. At approximately 3:30 a.m., Karen, nothing ever good happens.
Nothing good happens then, yeah. Perhaps this person was impaired.
Yes. A businessman named Robert Honeycott claimed to have witnessed 3 bipedal quasi-reptilian entities congregating by the side of the road.
So there's more than one.
Yep. The man pulled his car to the curb and observed these creatures for what he estimated to be about 3 minutes. During this time, he noticed that these strange beings stood between 3 and 4 feet tall, were covered with gray, leathery skin, and had webbed hands and feet. Their most distinguishing characteristic, however, was their distinctly frog-like heads, which the man claimed bore deep wrinkles where their hair should have been. Just as the man was about to steal away, one of the creatures suddenly held what the witness could only describe as a wand above his head. The source further claimed that the sparks spewed out of the wand of this device and that he left post-haste.
So it didn't do anything to him.
No, he just beat feet and got the hell out of there.
The frogman didn't point the wand at him, didn't
Apparently
do
not.
anything. Okay.
He was just showing off his wand.
As you do.
Then, Karen, at about 1 a.m. on March 3rd, 1972, nearly 17 years after the first report, a police officer named Ray Shockley Jr. was traveling along Riverside Road heading towards Loveland when he saw something that would forever change his life, Karen. The officer claimed that he was driving slowly due to the substantial amount of ice on the road. Again, we have ice in winter. When he saw what looked like a dog by the curb. Suddenly, the animal darted in front of his cruiser, forcing the officer to slam on the brakes in order to avoid a potential collision with the creature. Once the police cruiser came to a halt, its headlights fell upon the prone animal. At this point, the officer describes something that seemed literally too bizarre to be true. In the span of seconds, this crouched frog-like creature stood on two legs, stared back at the policeman, then scrambled over the guardrail and scurried down the embankment, finally disappearing.
Wait, so did he hit it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Scurried down the embankment, finally disappearing into the Little Miami River. The officer described the creature as being 3 to 4 feet tall and weighing in the area of 50 to 75 pounds. He also claimed that its skin had a leathery texture and that the animal's features resembled those of a frog or lizard. Another officer investigating the scene later that evening says he saw no sign of the creature, but reported that there were distinct scratch marks on the guardrail where the animal purportedly crossed. Another sighting occurred 2 weeks later when police officer Mark Matthews, apparently a friend of the other officer, had an encounter of his own. According to the report, Officer Matthews, while driving into Loveland, spotted what he believed to be an injured animal lying on the pavement. He climbed out of his cruiser with the intention of removing the carcass from the already ice-slicked road when the creature abruptly lurched upwards in a crouched position. Taken aback by the frogman's reptilian visage, Matthews unholstered his revolver and took a shot at the creature, which then proceeded to hobble over to the side of the road and step over the guardrail, all while keeping a watchful eye on the trigger-happy officer.
So it was shot.
It wasn't hit, though, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Matthews' frogman matched the first officer's description down to the last detail, with the exception of a tail, which was absent in earlier reports. Apparently, he said it had a tail.
Okay.
In the years which have followed these events, Officer Matthews has reneged somewhat on his tale. He now claims that the animal in question was nothing more than a large reptile which escaped from its owner. He further insists that the only reason he shot at the creature was to help confirm a fellow officer's story. A story which was, of course, being met with predictable skepticism by their superiors. Whether or not Matthews' change of heart was inspired by ridicule or the fading memory of an event from which he was 30 years removed, the fact remains that his own testimony counter-indicates his later retraction. In a 2001 email interview, Officer Mark Matthews, now retired, explained that the incident was habitually blown out of proportion. He stated that it was and is no monster. It was not leathery or had wet matted fur. It was not 3 to 5 feet tall. It did not stand erect. Said the animal I saw was obviously some sort of lizard that someone had as a pet that either got too large for its aquarium, escaped by accident, or they simply got tired of it. It was less than 3 feet in length, ran across the road, and was probably blinded by my headlights. It presented no aggressive action. Matthews attempted to shoot the creature in order to back up the account of his partner's sightings a few nights prior, but the lizard escapes most likely to die from his injury or from the freezing cold. So apparently he did hit it. Then a frogman was spotted in mid-August 2016 by Sam Jacobs and his girlfriend while they were playing Pokemon Go in Cincinnati. They took a photograph and posted it on social media, claiming to show the Loveland Frogman. The photo shows what appears to be a humanoid figure with leathery skin crouching on a rock near a river, though the location of the sighting casts doubt on its authenticity. It is a supposed hoax, Karen.
Have you seen the picture?
Yes. It's kind of blurry, as they
usually
as
are.
they are. The sightings of the Loveland Frogman have led to various theories about its origins. Some people believe that it is a remnant of an extinct species, while others think it may be a mutated animal. Some even speculate that it is an extraterrestrial or supernatural being.
They always end up with extraterrestrial or
It's
supernatural
always
beings.
the aliens, Karen. It's always the aliens.
Well, or the supernatural beings.
Despite the numerous reported sightings, there is no concrete evidence to support the existence of the Loveland Frogman, and it is largely considered a legend or hoax.
I never even knew about the Frogman when I lived there. I'd never heard of it.
I didn't either until, I don't know, probably 10 years. Well,
For me, it's less than that. I had no
so
idea.
I actually live in Loveland, right? My mailing address is Loveland. So we moved in here about 20 years ago. So that's probably the first I heard.
I had no idea growing up there that there was even a legend. But it sounds like it came from the American Indian folklore of the demon in the water.
Yep.
What do you
Miami.
think that was?
I don't know.
Because there's not really anything. It's not like we have
A river demon that lived in the Little Miami River.
There's not
Shawnahook.
crocodiles or, there's nothing
human-like
like
creature
that.
with no nose and wrinkled skin.
There's not seals. There's not what could it have been in the
I
water?
don't know.
Ooh, that's creepy. See, like something. Go ahead, go tubing on the Little Miami people. Go on.
I'm sure there's lots of non-indigenous species of fish, right? But
Yeah, but none of those
but
are.
at the time in 1696, there probably were not, Karen.
But what would be something that would be called a demon? It would have to have some, be able to do something. Maybe it's a giant leech. What could possibly be in there that would be a
It's
demon?
a human-like creature with no nose.
But human-like creatures could be,
Like an alien, Karen.
Oh, it's got to be an alien.
Like a gray alien, right? The grays. Those aliens with the big almond-shaped eyes and the big heads and no nose.
It's got to be an alien or a supernatural creature. It just always, whenever I hear it, it makes me think of Frog and Toad. Those books when you were a kid. They had little suits, kind of, and they carried briefcases. That's what I always picture in my head. So it doesn't have a menacing visual for me. So you've never seen it?
Never seen it, Karen. Nope.
Been camping along the Little Miami River, have you?
I've not. I've fished in it.
But not at 3:00 in the morning. It sounds like it's nocturnal. Maybe.
Pretty late. Or early, depending on how you look at it.
But it's, 1:00, 3:00 in the morning. Sounds, like I said, sounds nocturnal.
Yeah. And when I worked third shift, we used to go fishing in the mornings after work.
Oh.
Yeah, the couple playing Pokemon Go, they saw a large froggy beast near Lake Isabella.
Oh.
Which is in Loveland.
Yeah. It's interesting that there are multiples. Most of chupacabras, I guess there were multiples. There's generally not a lot, or you don't expect to see a lot of a cryptid.
Yeah, he says we saw a huge frog near the water. Not in the game. This is not in the Pokemon game. This was an actual giant frog. It says he stopped playing Pokemon Go so he could document what he was seeing, snapping some photos and shooting a short video. Then, he says, the thing stood up and walked on its hind legs. I realized this sounds crazy, but I swear on my grandmother's grave, this is the truth. Frog stood about 4 feet tall. And then when they returned to his girlfriend's home, Their parents told them about the legend of the Frogman. So apparently they didn't even know about it until they saw it. They say.
Well, like I said, I didn't know about it, which is a missed opportunity.
Well, they sell T-shirts and shit in Loveland.
Yeah, but where? Oh, in Loveland. I've never seen one. There's no festival. See, they don't embrace it like Point Pleasant does. It's your golden opportunity, Greg. You can start organizing the festival.
All right, so those are our favorite cryptids, Karen.
Well, of your three, which one's your favorite?
Oh no, I kind of like the Earth Hound.
You did some good ones. Might be hard to choose. You're going with the Earth Hound, the harbinger of death,
Yes.
the eater of corpses.
Yes.
I'm going with the New Jersey Devil. I like the origin story. I could see where that would be true. 12 kids in, 13. She raises her arms. Why? Why?
But of all these, which do you think might actually be an actual real animal?
The real cryptid or a real animal?
Yeah, the real.
Because the Mothman, if it was the crane, and even a mutated crane, where it basically stopped, so there was a limited time where it was seen, really, it would have passed away. So it seems in my mind that one is likely, but it's likely to have been a crane. I don't think a crane can fly 100 miles an hour, but
I think the Chupacabra is probably the most likely to be an actual animal.
You think?
Yeah. A different species of canine or something.
Probably. Of all the ones we did, you're probably right. To be an actual discovery, yes.
Yes.
So we've gone through a couple of our favorite cryptids. We'd like to know if you out there in listening land have a favorite cryptid.
Our friends and listeners.
We'd love to know about it. You can email info@scaryspirits.com and let us know.
Yeah. And which of these do you think is an actual or could be an actual creature that may be actually discovered someday? Someone will see one and shoot it.
Or if there's a cryptozoologist out there, we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, we didn't really, or I didn't purposely hit any of the, the big, well-known.
Well, we avoided Bigfoot, Yeti, Loch Ness Monster,
Right.
in case we can find someone who's an expert and wants to come on and talk to us about it.
Right.
We just thought you, our listener, might be interested in the lesser-known cryptids.
And we do know there's a big Bigfoot thing in Athens, Ohio, right?
Logan,
which is near Athens, right?
Yeah, it is. It's
Hocking
in
Hills.
August. Yeah.
So yeah, let us know.
And don't forget to listen to the Scary Spirits podcast, where the movies might be iffy, but the drinks are always solid.
And remember, we're not experts, and this podcast is for entertainment purposes only.
Tell us your favorite cryptid, and please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening. Want to keep in touch? Check out our website, scaryspirits.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Spirits Podcast. Find us on YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at info@scaryspirits.com. To help us grow the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really do appreciate your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.